I feel most people don't understand the value you get as a parent amidst the chaos. Because for someone who's not a parent, to see parents do what they do, um, feels like, oh my God, this feels like it's a lot. And it is a lot, let's admit. You can't take away from the fact that being a parent involves so many pieces that it's not Jenga. It's more like Jenga made out of clay, if you ask me,
Yeah.
is how it works. But there is something you learn about yourself, how you function. Also, like learning but the smaller things in life. I feel you start valuing things so much more once you have a kid.
So much more. I was the best example of this to me was I was out on a walk with my son late in the summer, so it was nice. The trees were still green. And I picked him up out of his stroller and I was holding him next to this tree. That was kind of interesting. And he must have spent 5 minutes with this one leaf on the tree, looking at it, staring, really observing it, really focusing, touching it, looking at the veins on the leaf. And as he was doing it, I just realized I've passed this tree 1,000 times and I've never once looked at it. Haven't spent a second thinking about or looking at this tree. And right now, this leaf, this tree, is his entire world, and it is amazing to him. And as I was looking at it, I realized all of these amazing things about it that I never would have observed if not for stopping and pausing and just looking at it and taking it in. And it made me think of Kurt Vonnegut, the author, gave this commencement speech at Rice University. I think it was 1997. And in it, at the end, he says that when life is beautiful and sweet, you need to stop and take a moment and look up at the sky and say, if this isn't nice, what is? To appreciate those little moments of beauty, because otherwise they just pass and they're gone and you never appreciate them. And that to me has been the most beautiful thing of having a child is you are forced to slow down in these amazing ways that life has never let you, has never allowed you to. You're forced to do it. And your whole view of the world changes. It's like this vibrant colors that all of a sudden are visible to you.
I feel that for fathers, I feel the last few generations it's almost like the role has changed to an extent. And I remember when I was going to become a father, I couldn't find enough information for me to learn from. And in most things in life, you find information about, but that I didn't find too much. And I remember struggling with that fact. Okay, am I prepared for this? Am I not prepared for it? But it's also allowing yourself to jump into something, get your hands dirty literally because of what happens with diapers and in life. And really learning and allowing for randomness to teach.
Yeah.
Because there's so much randomness that happens.
Yes.
And you can't stick to a plan. You can't stick to a timeline. Things happen as they do. The baby's not going to follow your time.
No.
You're going to follow the baby's timeline.
And scary.
Yeah.
I think being a parent is the most terrifying thing in the world because you have a thing out there that no matter what it feels, you feel it 10x. Whatever the baby feels. If the baby feels joy, or if the child that it becomes feels joy, you feel that joy and pride 10x from what they do because it's amazing. But when they feel pain, you feel that so much worse than they do. Everything is amplified. And there's something so scary about that and vulnerable. For the first time in your life, you're like putting yourself out there on something that you cannot control or feel. I also think with fatherhood in particular, to your point there, so much of what we experience as fathers and what we do as fathers is informed positively or negatively by our relationship with our fathers. My father and I have an amazing, amazing relationship that is driven by the fact that he had a bad relationship with his father. My father's American. And when he wanted to marry my mother, who's Indian, his parents didn't accept it. And they said, you have to choose between her or us. And he walked out the door and never saw them again. And that has informed so much of how he tried to be as a father to me. It's meant that he was so endlessly supportive of me in everything that I did because he was trying to reject what he felt his father had been with him. And now as a father myself, I want to embody that same thing. I want to embody that same feeling of just supportiveness in whatever it is that my son wants to do. So I think it's really a downstream byproduct, positively or negatively, of what we see in our own relationships.
I couldn't agree more. So my father lost his father when he was a year and a half old. So I feel with me, he was understanding what a father-son relationship was, and I was kind of taking that ahead by understanding a little bit more than he did, because for him it was like he didn't have that, so he didn't know what that meant. Like, um, but I also feel that what you realize is that I don't know if it's a mom thing. I can't comment on mothers, but I feel for dads also building those rituals. Like when you were talking about the walk, I think about rituals, right? So me and my daughter do this every morning. We say hello to the world together. I wake up in the morning, I pick her up, and we go into the balcony and we say hello to the world. It's been a thing for years, and she's 5.5 now. But it's just one of those things. And I recollect that even when I was a kid, I think we all have those rituals that our parents put in place, which might seem very random in hindsight when they chose the moments that they had, but they almost become those building blocks that you want in your day, and you want to just keep passing them on, passing them on.
And the most beautiful, I love that ritual, by the way. I want to start doing that, saying hello to the world. The scariest and most beautiful thing about this is this idea from Sam Harris of the last time principle. There's going to be a last time that you get to do that with your daughter. She's going to be a teenager, and maybe she's going to be sleeping over with friends or off at camp or at school or in college, wherever it is. At some point, it's going to be the last time that you get to do that with your daughter. So what more reason to embrace every single morning that you get to do that? Because there will be a time when you want to and you can't. I think about that constantly. I'm like, oh, this might be the last time that my son wants to crawl all over me in bed. And so as annoying as it is sometimes when he smacks me in the face to wake me up and I'm trying to sleep and I'm tired and he starts whacking me, there's going to be a time when he's no longer doing this. And I'm going to wish that he was. So I just can't, I can't imagine a better thing.
I think with the last time piece, it also comes down to, there's memento mori, which is the Stoic principle, right? Is that, which I remember the first time I read about it, I just found that I'm like,
Morbid.
Morbid, it's dark. Do I want to really go there in my head saying, what if you can't wake up to tomorrow morning, or kids don't wake up tomorrow morning? Treat the moment like that. And I sat down, I said, 1 second, this is like, you're talking about death in a way by saying it could just be around the corner. So treat this moment exactly the way you would treat it if it was your last moment. And that initially feels like a lot of pressure on yourself, but also is oddly liberating because it lets you choose. I think it makes your choices so much easier, right? Like going to an event, going somewhere else on weekends, because I'm like, that's the time I have at home. And I sometimes almost say yes. I have to remind myself that, no, 1 second. You told yourself that it's not worth it. Is it worth, like you said, is it worth the time away from home, away from kids, and away from even meeting friends, to go talk in some conference? Want more such insights? Make sure you check out the full episode.